the lore goes on for this question forever. And, people could talk about what happened with the third Halloween film that everyone wanted. But in a perfect world, would you like to play? Do you have any interest in playing Michael Myers again if a third Rob Zombie film for Halloween were to be made?
Well, yeah, you just answered the question when you say if a third Rob Zombie film.
What's up, guys? Bones from Slasher Radio here, and we're about to be joined by Michael Myers himself, horror icon Tyler Mane. He played Michael Myers in both Rob Zombie's Halloween movies, Sabretooth from Deadpool and Wolverine, and so many other great roles, and he has some amazing projects coming up, so make sure you stick around to hear those. We talk the status of Rob Zombie's Halloween 3, his Michael Myers coming into Dead by Daylight, and a bunch of stories of being on set of these great films, and so much more. We have a huge October lined up for you guys. Last week we were joined by effects legend Greg Nicotero, which you can go back and watch on this channel. Next week we'll be joined by Damian Maffei, Johnny Slaughter from the TCM game, The Strangers Pray at Night, and Haunt. The following week we'll be joined by David Howard Thornton. That's right, Art the Clown is back on Slasher Radio, as well as selected games to talk about the upcoming arcade game. Then Halloween week, we'll be joined by Tim Willits from Saber Interactive to break down the upcoming Hellraiser Revival game. And the week after that, the first week of November, Mike P. Nelson, the director of Jason Universe's Sweet Revenge, will be hopping on the show. So make sure you slash those like and subscribe buttons, because real horror fans won't want to miss a second of this. Now let's get you over to Tyler.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, there you are. Hey, man, what's going on?
I'm just hanging in there. How you doing?
I feel that, man. Good. Thank you so much for hopping on with us, dude. We appreciate it so much.
I did my makeup. I got all ready, and no, I'm kidding.
Don't send us the wardrobe and then the makeup bill, though.
Right?
A couple of years, well, quite a few years ago now, actually, around when I first started this show, my sister for Christmas got me a cameo from you for a Christmas gift. And you said you were very nice. It was awesome. I cherish that to this day. I still show people. Holy shit, look at this. You said during the cameo that, she, I guess, put in there that we have this show and that I should have you on as a guest. And here we are all these years later, which is wild.
Well, Mike, what the hell took you so long?
I tried, dude. You are a hard man to track down. I tried.
Well, I'm busy, knock on wood. That's a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, busy is always good. The internet is the internet. So correct me if any of this is wrong. But I read that you got into acting and it was a total by chance thing after you got a role in Starfighter, which was a wrestling movie. Is that true?
Well, it was always a plan to become a wrestler, because growing up as a kid in Saskatchewan, tall, skinny kid, glasses, braces, slightly dyslexic, what I would do is I would watch Stampede Wrestling, professional wrestling Saturday morning, and then all weekend long I'd watch action films and whatever I could watch, and then end it all Sunday night with The Wonderful World of Disney. It'd be either whatever it was, Tom Sawyer or Davy Crockett, whatever, and then you have to go back to school. But so I always had the plan that I wanted to become an actor and a professional wrestler. And of course, back then everybody's like, oh yeah, good luck,
Yeah.
So I started working out and got in shape and ended up wrestling, started training with Stu Hart in the dungeon a little bit.
Really?
And then moved to the States and was trained by Red Bastien and Mondo Guerrero. And I did go wrestle in Mexico for just about 2 years and had the opportunity to do one of those Mexican wrestling movies. And from that, I realized, I'm not getting dropped on my head. They're feeding me well and paying me. So I was like, hey, this is a lot better than the pro wrestling, so I had to figure out how to transition fully. And then when X-Men came along, I hung up my wrestling boots, and I've been doing the acting ever since.
Okay, I knew that you have a wrestling background, right? And I grew up the same way as you, Tyler. I loved wrestling. My prime was like the 90s. Attitude Era, right before it, right into it. That was I know that feeling of when you go to school and you talk to all your friends about, because there was no internet really back then. Well, my time, where you could just chat with your friends about what was going on. It was more so you go to school and you talk about everything and have that debate, and like that was really fun growing up as a wrestling fan in school. I didn't know you trained with Stu Hart. That's wild.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was really interesting, man. It's, you go down and you hear all these stories about the dungeon, and all of them are real.
Yeah.
It's, I was like, Stu, how are we going to practice? How are we going to do suplexes and stuff in here, And Stu was like, kid, you got a lot to learn before you get to that step. Come here, kid. Let me show you a double grapevine. And I would be squealing, It's, there was a lot to learn before you get to the bumping.
Yeah. Cass, welcome in, by the way. Cass Tyler, this is my co-host.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, Cass, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great.
Cass,
That's
we're talking
great.
Wrestling. All right.
Awesome.
You were tag team with Vinnie Vegas, who obviously went on to be Kevin Nash, and one of my favorites of all time. So like I'm gonna mark out a little bit, to use the term. What was that experience like? Because obviously he wasn't Kevin Nash yet, and you guys were on the road as a tag team, but he showed so much promise, and you were a big part of that because you're his dancing partner. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it was just, we got thrown together and had some great matches and stuff, and we're working our way up. And then he got recruited to WWF at the time and became Diesel. And then I was kind of hung a little bit in limbo, but I was lucky enough to be able to go wrestle all over the world. From that, I think after that, I went to Japan and ended up being one of the last people, or if not the last person, to wrestle Andre the Giant before he passed away in 1993.
Oh, fuck.
So it's so we both took different paths, and we both ended up doing pretty darn good. He stuck with the wrestling more, I went to the acting, and now right. I just love, we run into each other at conventions every once in a while, and we're like, we got to do something with each other again, like do a TV show or something. So we're always talking about something like that, coming up with ideas and seeing what works.
And so I don't even know which way to go here, because I had a whole list of shit that I wanted to ask you, and now you're throwing all this at me. And it's got to be, like, how do you feel? Because, obviously everybody talks about Halloween and, all these great films and roles that you've had, and rightfully so. But do you feel that you're wrestling? Because I didn't, shame on me too. I'm included in this. I didn't look into it as extensively as I should have. Is that something that you kind of wish was more talked about when you get brought up?
No, the way I look at my wrestling career, I did it for like 11 and a half years. All got to wrestle all over the world, wrestle a lot of top stars. It was during the Attitude. And I got to work with a lot of people, man. Like I worked with The Rock's dad 15 years before I did the Scorpion King with The Rock,
Right.
And I'm walking into Universal Studios dressed as the Barbarian Chieftain, and out comes Rocky Johnson. He's like, "What are you doing here?" And I'm getting ready to work with the kid, old man. And he just laughed, and he goes, "Have you met Dwayne yet?" And I go, "No." He goes, "Come on." And then it was just, Rocky Johnson, myself, and Dwayne just sitting there talking, and that was my first introduction with Dwayne. So I've been very, very lucky to meet a lot of great people, work with a lot of great people in the business. And like I say, it was a great stepping stone to where I am now. Now that I have my own production company, we're doing really cool things. So I'm very lucky and blessed.
Yeah. Well, lucky, everything has to do with luck. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, also very talented and earned these things. I think that's worth mentioning too. Deserved is another word to go next to luck. What was it like wrestling Andre the Giant? Because obviously towards the end of his career, any wrestling fan knows, like the decline in him because his health and everything.
Yeah.
But what was that experience like? What was it like being in the ring with him? I need to know about that.
Yeah, I mean, like he was at the, at the end and I was lucky enough to be the one. He said, "Hey, boss, do you mind if I pin you?" And I'm like, "No problem, I'd love it,"
Right?
And well, be careful what you wish for. He's a very heavy man, and he just landed on me at the end, and he said, "Thank you, boss, thank you." I'm like, "Oh God, get off!" He was like, I don't know, 500. I don't know how big he was, but he's like, "Just a minute, boss. 3 count. Thank you." So it was but yeah, working with him in the ring, it was just you bounce off of him, make him look good, make yourself look as good as you can, and away you go. And of course, it was in the Tokyo Dome, so
Right.
it was iconic.
Yeah. It's a very iconic venue, iconic opponent.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's incredible. That must have been a long 3 seconds with a guy that big on you, though.
That was, yeah. It was a tag match. It was Andre and Giant Baba and me and my partner. So I got to work with both of them. It was a great experience.
Yeah. And I'm looking too, as you're talking about this, it does look like that was his last match.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That must be. Imagine to pat you on the back a little bit just by saying it. Imagine having such a career where that's not even mentioned, really. In the grand scheme of your work, like that's so not talked about, and that's insane.
Yeah, that just slides right under the radar, doesn't it?
Holy shit. Yeah, mine too. Like I did a lot of looking on you, and I, big fan for so long, known a lot of shit. I'm like, I'm not gonna learn anything new. What here the fuck we are?
First question, we learned something new.
Hell yeah. But I love that. Like that, I love that so much. But you mentioned you have a production company now, Main Entertainment.
Yeah.
What is it like transitioning and shifting that gear from being on camera and the grind of acting and everything that goes into that to now running everything else that people don't notice and all the hard work that goes into that? What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a heck of a journey. Through Main Entertainment, we've done 2 features. We did Compound Fracture and Penance Lane that are both out there that you can take a look at. And what we're doing now, I've transitioned into doing graphic novels because my wife, Renee Geerlings, she was the editor-in-chief of Top Cow Comic Books, working with Mark Silvestri and that for over a decade. Worked on Witchblade, Wanted, Fathom, all these top-tier books for them. And I had this project come across my my table about 15 years ago. It's called The Last Spartan, written by John F. Saunders. And I was talking with John, and he said, I said, I'd really like to try and turn this into a movie. And he was all for it. And then so we've been talking and updating the world and making it more modern now. But The Last Spartan Red Tape is a graphic novel that deals with human trafficking and human trafficking awareness. And it is written by Christopher Priest and myself. Christopher Priest wrote Black Panther, Punisher, Vampirella, Captain America, Superman, tons of stuff. He's Eisner nominated writer. We have a Mark Silvestri cover for this. Interior is Will Conrad, Jimbo Salgado, Michael Montnot. So they're all top tier artists. Worked on X-Men, Wolverine, G.I. Joe, Red Sonja. I mean, all top tier throughout.
Right.
And as I said, it is a graphic novel that deals with human trafficking and human trafficking awareness. And I was like, with doing the research, how can I give back? Because this is some serious stuff. And doing our research, I checked into some organizations, and we've teamed up with deliverfund.org, an organization that helps law enforcement develop technology to catch the bad guys. So this book is going into comic book shops in mid-October, and a portion of the proceeds are going to deliverfund.org to help put an end to human trafficking. So if anybody out there is a comic book fanatic or just wants to help out, please check it out. Go to your local comic book shop and ask them to bring in The Last Spartan Red Tape. Or if you do not go to a local comic book shop, you can go to the lastspartan.com. You can go to tylermaine.com. You can go to mainentertainment.com, and it will take you all to the links to get this graphic novel.
Yeah, I was going to throw that out there, that it's also available online too, because a lot of people shop online, myself included, I guess. But yeah, that's definitely, and all the links to that, everyone who's listening to this will be in the description of everything this is on. So there's no excuse to not go get that. What is it like, kind of backing up what you're doing? Like you have a project, you guys are saying something meaningful, which is super important, and I love to see that. But then you went that extra step in saying, what, no, we're not only going to talk about it and bring awareness to it, we're going to help fund and do our part in what we can do and actually trying to stop these things. How important to you was that extra step? Because that's a big step that you don't see often at all, unfortunately.
Yeah. Like I say, we're just doing the research and just seeing how serious this subject is, and going to conventions and meeting people. When I go to a convention, there's usually 1, 2, 3 people that this has personally affected in various different ways. Either the first responders say, hey, thank you for doing something like this because it is very serious, and they are dealing with it out in the field. And at one convention, I ran into a gentleman that said his niece was just about trafficked. And, they drugged her in a club and was taking her out the back door. And luckily, one of the bouncers realized what was going on and beat the hell out of the one guy. The other guy ran off. He saved the girl. But through the technology that they had, the cameras and everything all around, they were able to trace this guy back to where he was. And they found 3 other women drugged and handcuffed in a hotel room getting ready to be trafficked. And she was the 4th. So he said, thank you for bringing awareness to this, because I just about lost my niece to this, and that's just one of the many horror stories that I have heard. So I had to figure out how I was going to give back. It's something that is, human rights it's terrifying to think that anybody could do that to another human being.
Yeah. And kudos. And that's the thing, like we hear, a lot of actors will say, like going to these cons and meeting people and getting that personal time with them and being able to share that, but actually taking action is a whole nother story. So, that's awesome that you're doing that, man. That speaks volumes to your character and your intent with these projects and how important they can be. A lot of people just brush things off as movies or books and, that's all they are, but there's impact on people's lives with these things. And I love that you recognize that.
Yeah, I mean, that is the real horror in the world, It's, you just by doing the research and talking to Nick McKinley at Deliver Fund and hearing some of the stories and, because he's an ex-CIA operative, and you just realize how serious of a problem this is. And most people, out of sight, out of mind,
Yeah.
And it's something that we got to be aware of.
100%. Yeah, for sure. And even with Main Entertainment, you have movies like Penance Lane and Compound Fracture that you mentioned. You're also an actor in these movies too. So you're pulling double, triple, quadruple duty with this. How much of a different experience is that? Because obviously, very storied actor, resume through the roof, all these things, sure. But now you're running the production of this and taking on this role in these projects. How much more is that on you, and how important is it for you to get in there and make sure you're taking the weight of your own project on screen now?
Yeah, you have full control of the product and the project, and I like it because then I can do what I want to do, and because I know what I'm capable of doing and want to take it to the fullest extent. When you're doing a picture for someone else, you're kind of playing by their rules and playing in their sandbox, so to speak. And I wanted to do and create characters that are intense and compelling to other people, and I've just started that journey, and hopefully with the Last Spartan Red Tape, we can get enough people following this and turn it into a TV series and keep raising awareness, because Frank Kane, the character in there, is a character that I would really love to play. And
it's awesome because the more people, talking to everyone who's listening to this right now, who get behind something and it looks like a great project, all the stuff that we just talked about with hitting the actual cause, that sends it through the roof of why this should be supported. But also just the content itself looks great. And there's so many opportunities for, like, are you looking, have you thought that far into it yet, where streaming services are a thing now? Like, the landscape for series is so different than what it used to be.
Yeah, the landscape is forever changing, and what we're doing right now is I've been wanting to make this a project that's ongoing. We have actually another issue after this one. This one's hitting comic book shops in mid-October, Last Spartan Red Tape. We have another issue coming out beginning of next year that we're going to be doing a crowdfunder for, which is the Last Spartan Lone Wolf. And it's carrying on to the next step of this series that we're trying to develop. So that's the stage that we're at right now, and just raising the awareness for it and getting people to listen and hopefully be supportive.
And do you know where, because obviously that's not happening yet, you mentioned next year. Do you know where you'll be doing that fundraising yet, just so people know where to keep an eye out? Because they have like Indiegogo and a couple other ones too. Have you planned that far ahead, or you're not there yet?
Yeah, we'll probably be doing a Kickstarter with it. We did a Kickstarter for the first one. The Last Spartan Red Tape was a Kickstarter that we did, very successful, and that's where we'll probably go back with this one, and then hopefully get it into the comic book shops after that. And we also have another script written after the Last Spartan Lone Wolf. So,
wow,
things are rolling forward, moving very quickly now. It's, at the beginning of this 15 years ago, I was like, how am I gonna get this thing going, And then now you get people like Christopher Priest involved, you get all these top artists involved and stuff, and get the word out about the cause, and people are coming on board and very excited about it. And now it's starting to, we got the ball just about at the top of the hill, and it's going to start rolling down real fast.
I think that's important too, where people know, because that's wild that you have not even the next one, you got the next one after that already planned out. I think it's important for people to know that, because I love going through Kickstarter too, and Indiegogo and all these other platforms, because you never know what you'll find. And you can get behind it and make it happen, and that's a beautiful thing. But a lot of times you look at some of these things and you don't even know if it's going to come to fruition. And, there's just a lot of stuff out there that makes you unsure. But knowing that, not only is there another one coming, we're ready even after that, if you guys get behind this, and showing that longevity of investment of people's money is so important.
Yeah. Well, like for the Last Spartan Red Tape, it was... From start to where we got it to where it is today was about 3 years, and for the Last Spartan Lone Wolf, it came together very quickly. It was like a few months, and then all of a sudden we had the script for the next one, and it's like, wow, okay. So the wait time, we're going to have the Last Spartan Lone Wolf completed before the Kickstarter even starts. So there's going to be no wait time. It's going to be just ready to go. People order it. They'll be getting it right away once the Kickstarter ends.
That's awesome. I'm still waiting on some Kickstarter stuff that I've backed, so it's like, that's another factor too. Yeah, you're just like, how long you're going to have to wait, but your immediate turnaround on that's wild. You're that much forward thinking.
Yeah, well, that's I've got to credit Renee for all of that she's put these books together for decades, and she really knows what she's doing, and it's I'm just very lucky to have her on my side.
Yeah, and that's where it all begins. Not one person does anything.
That is true.
But you mentioned playing in someone else's sandbox, kind of, and obviously, you're a big part of quite a few Rob Zombie projects. What is it like? Because Rob Zombie is such an ominous person, like just all over, on screen, off screen, on stage, off stage. He just has this aura about him that nobody really can figure out. Obviously, not only just Halloween, you've been in the Devil's Rejects as well, so you're very familiar with Rob Zombie sets. What's it like? Like, what's a day in the life on a Rob Zombie set? Because people, like, for me as a fan, I just picture there's fucking bats everywhere and you sit in coffins. Like, who knows, right?
No, it was funny because, like, for my audition for the Devil's Rejects, I went in and saw the casting director put it on tape. I was actually auditioning for the role that DDP got. And I was like, oh, okay, that's it. But little did I know he was replacing the Rufus from the House of a Thousand Corpses. And that was the whole reason why I was in there. And so 2 weeks later, I get the call that I will be, doing the Rufus role if I want it. And so I'd never met Rob. First day on set, I went and Rob was behind the monitor. He always chews bubble gum or gum of some sort. And he was looking at the monitor kind of like, oh, maybe if we did this, that'd be cool. And could we put the light over here and this? And then I'd look over to the sound guys and they're playing one of his music videos where he's got the dreadlocks whipping around and going crazy. Yeah. And then I'd look back at him sitting in the director's chair. And I was like, and I looked back and saw the dreadlocks and the sound guys all just kind of like go, right? It's crazy, isn't it? So then I was like, oh, this is going to be a really cool experience. And just working with Rob, such a nice guy. He's so laid back. He knows what he wants. He's an entertainer himself. So he realizes let the creativity flow. And it was just such a great experience, And by the time we got to the third film we were doing together, which was Halloween 2, you come to work in the morning and Rob would be there and he goes, hey, Tyler, how you want to kill somebody today? And I'm like, okay, here we go.
Speaking my language.
Yeah, what a question to start the day.
Right? Exactly. So then we'd collaborate on the kills and stuff. And it's just because he knew my background and stuff. So it was great. Yeah.
That's awesome. And obviously in Halloween, you played Michael Myers, an iconic character and all those things. Did you approach this role did you feel the weight of it? Like it's such an iconic character, or did you just approach this as you would any other role?
I did all my research. I watched all the other ones except for 3, season which where Michael Myers doesn't really appear. And I was like, okay, what?
I don't blame you.
Whatever. And I researched serial killers and I did all of that because I wanted it to be as realistic because we were making Michael Myers in the first one a three-dimensional character, telling his background story, how he's a product of his environment and how he developed into what he is and was in that film. So I wanted to make sure that I had my understanding of how I wanted to do it and what the other guys did. And then I just wanted to put my own kind of little spin on it and make him just a little bit more aggressive. I guess at my size, 6'7", it kind of, the largest Michael Myers, it kind of makes him a little more, but
a little bit.
Yeah. But it was just fantastic. And I didn't really realize just the fan following that it had, until we were filming the first one and there was a lot of fans that, like, we're doing night shoots and the streets are lined with people and I was like, what the hell is going on here? And we're trying to hide the mask and keep people away. And I was like, oh, okay, this is something. This is, So luckily I had quite a bit of stuff in the can, as they call it, and was relaxed enough when it came time and we just did what we did.
You mentioned the size and your twist on the character. Your portrayal was obviously so much more brutal of a version. How did you prepare? I mean, you mentioned you looked up serial killers and everything else, but was there, like, Nick Castle is the blueprint for Michael Myers, right? And
yes,
what was it like blending those two things together?
Yeah,
or did you at all?
I kind of did. There was the subtleness and the stillness,
right,
of Nick, the OG, but then also, I'm under the, I guess, I don't know what you would call it. There's no such thing as a clean kill, They are dirty, they are vicious, they are violent. And that's the way I kind of approached it,
Yeah.
And some people like it, some people don't, but it's, that's why there's so many different versions of it.
Well, you kind of you held my hand right into the next question. These movies received a lot of blowback, as most remakes do. Anytime you touch something that's so coveted, like it's bound to happen, especially in the horror genre, right? And these movies received a ton of blowback because of how different they were from the original franchise. Did you guys know that going in? Like, what was the thought process saying, okay, this is what our vision is, and we're going to pull it out and go full force with it? Fuck what people think. We're going to just go for it. Were you guys aware while making this film that we're probably going to hear something about this?
No, I mean, it never really crossed my mind. I was just trying to do the best I could and give the fans what they were looking for. Now, whether that was something that crossed Rob's mind, I couldn't answer that question for you. But what I can say is that the 2007 Halloween held the Labor Day box office record for 14 years. So we did something right, and only to get beat by a Marvel film. So that tells you something.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And the debate is valid. It's kind of expected in a way. It's going to happen. You get that. But I know people who will say that have told me that the Halloween movies that you guys did, the 1 and the 2 for Rob Zombie, they're better than the original Halloween films. You absolutely. There is a tone that was met in those movies, which is exactly what people were looking for, and that's undoubtedly. No matter how you feel about it, that's unarguable.
Yeah, I mean, they're gritty and real, and that's where it's at for a lot of the people. And after the newer ones came out, people have come back to me and say, "Oh, we get it. Yours was amazing," type of thing. So and I have to hand that all to Rob. It was Rob's vision. So
and that's a thing that happens in horror too, where you mentioned Halloween 3 earlier. It's like that's a perfect example where people will just demolish something and shit all over it, but then years later, have you seen that shift? Because I have kind of on social media and everything where you would see so much negativity towards these movies, but lately, meaning like the last 5 or so years, maybe a little more, the atmosphere around it has changed. Like, have you noticed that too?
Yeah. I mean, it's always had its following, and it's gaining fans more and more every year, type of thing.
Every watch.
It's it is a remake. It's not a remake, it's a reimagining of the franchise, and it's a different vision. And that's the great thing. The way I go into a film is I will go into a film wanting to take something good away from it. I'm not going to sit there and pick everything apart, because what's the purpose of that? I want to enjoy my experience of watching a movie, and if these people that go in there and try and pick all this stuff apart, it's like, shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not a paid critic, and enjoy the damn thing,
Right. And look, there's movies that I can't stand. Everybody has those, but I feel like a lot of people need to keep in mind the work that goes into them and the vision that goes into them and the intent of them too. Like, you guys weren't looking to retell a story, or replace, probably is a better word, a story. You were just giving your own take.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be remembered. And it does, like, you could still go watch the original movie. It's not like because your movie came out, that one's gone forever,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, until you've put a movie together and out there.
Yes.
I'm just like, I keep my mouth shut. Type of thing.
I get what you're saying.
I've done it, and I know how hard it is. From the script you have to what you shoot to the end product you have, so vastly different, and people don't realize that. It's like it's a tough thing making a movie, not easy.
And you get both sides of that now.
Yeah,
to its fullest extent, 100%.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. And I try and keep that in mind too, because obviously we talk about movies and we talk about movies we don't like a lot of times. But I always try and taper that back and throw that caveat in. It's like, look, this isn't for me. I don't like A, B, C, and D, but you have to be able to take something good at it. You can't just go into a movie looking for that negativity. And I feel like that does happen a lot. And I'm glad that you pointed that out, because that is important to talk about.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah. But you mentioned the Blumhouse trilogy, and I was interested to get your thoughts on that, because obviously those are huge movies and all that. And you donning the crown, I guess, or the mask of Michael Myers. What do you think of the Blumhouse trilogy?
I've seen them. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I mean, my Michael Myers didn't need to get saved, but whatever.
Interesting turn it took, for sure.
Yes. I mean, like I say, it is what it is. It's another version, that people get to watch.
Yeah. And it was weird seeing the praise for Halloween Kills too. And I'm so happy I get to talk to you about this specifically because and I liked Halloween Kills. I liked Halloween 2018 a lot. I hate a lot of things about Halloween Ends. That's kind of my view on the trilogy. But Halloween Kills got so much praise, and I was sitting there like, wait a minute, how many of you were mad at how brutal the Rob Zombie Myers was? But look at this. Like, it's basically the same type of Myers.
Yeah. And that's it's hard to. I don't know whether that's because John Carpenter was back involved or what. I mean, who knows? Who knows? They all stand on their own,
Yeah. And that's what people have to remember too. Different timelines, different visions, different everything. They're all their own story. 100%.
Exactly. I'm going Switzerland. I'm neutral on all of this.
You're a smart man. The sets of these films, like specifically you could talk about Devil's Rejects too, but specifically these Halloween films, you were surrounded by Dee Wallace, Bill Moseley, Brad Dourif, the list goes on, Danielle Harris. Like, you're around horror royalty on these sets. What was it like in the atmosphere of being with or around and working with all of these legends in the industry?
It was amazing. I kind of like to goof around on set and have fun. And so did everybody else there. You're like, we kill people and stuff, but we just would have fun and interact and then Rob would be like, hey, rolling, and we're like, oh wait, we better get serious here, type of thing. And so it was just like it became family. We all became kind of family. I'm really close with Scout. I actually officiated her wedding, and she got me ordained for the damn thing, and I'm like, oh man. But
that's cool.
That's a crazy story too. It's like she was talking to me saying, hey, I'm getting married, I want you to marry me. I'm like, I'm not doing this. And Renee was on the call also, but she was upstairs, and she just yells down, you're already ordained, you're doing it. She ordained me online. And I was like, oh shit.
Is that even legal?
I said to Scott, I go, I don't know how legal your marriage is, but you're married, so whatever. But
full circle moment.
Right? So we've become, all of us, really, really close. So which is cool, and I run into the little kids sometimes from it, and they're doing great, and it's just like family.
And you get that vibe too, really, from all of the Rob Zombie project. Like, you could look at the Devil's Rejects and House of 1,000, like that whole trilogy that he had. The cast is so, like, there's just certain, Chucky is a good example too, especially from the films. There's just that tight knit involves always the same people in there, and there's just that, like, that comes across to the viewer.
Yeah,
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is 100% the vibe that we get from these movies and really all of his projects, where it is a family oriented thing on that we're watching on screen and even behind the camera.
Yeah, well, making a movie, people call it going through the trenches. You want to go through the trenches with someone that you can trust, that is like family, that's got your back, because it's not an easy thing to do. You're slugging away for 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day, and you gotta count on the people that are there with you, and we've all become family.
Yeah. And you mentioned, I'm a nerd for this kind of stuff. You mentioned saying that you like to mess around on the sets, and whenever a killer is you kind of hold a little more power to fuck with people when you're on set and everything. Could you tell us anything that you did that was like extra funny? Because I love that kind of stuff.
Oh God, I mean, well, if you look at the blooper reels, you can see some of the crazy shit. But
yeah,
this is a story that Scout even tells. She was doing the scene where Danielle dies in the bathroom in 2, you know, she's just covered in blood, and that room was horrific. You know, just trying to walk through it, you're slipping all over the place because of the amount of blood that was in there, and she had a hard time coming out of it, you know, and she came running down to me. I was outside, and she said, "Tyler, I can't stop. I can't get out of this." I said, "Oh God, get me a van and get me out of here." And she just goes, "You asshole," and hit me, and she started laughing, you know. So just moments like that where you can help a person, but you know you're going to screw with them too. Fantastic.
It's got to be irresistible. It's got to.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Were there any props that you are proud of that you can legally say that you you took from one of these? Because, you know, like I'm sure in the back of your mind, like you're making a Halloween movie. Like, is there, like, can you sneak anything off set that you are able to cherish forever?
Yeah, well, you know, the knife from the first one, the hero knife, the props guy was a huge fan of Halloween. And the very last scene that we shot, he came and presented it to me, and he said, "This is for you. You deserve this. Or thank you for bringing Michael Myers back," you know?
Yeah.
And so I have that. That is something that I will cherish forever. It's I'm actually looking at it in my office right now, you know? So it's that, and then I've got some other things and stuff like that. It's, you know, I'm going to a whole different franchise from the X-Men, the dog tags that I stole from Wolverine. I've got those, you know, just the little things that you keep that mean something.
Yeah, that is so awesome. and honestly, the guy who gave it to you is 100% right. Like to horror fans, you know, to you, I mean, I don't know the weight of it that it was to you personally, but a lot of actors look at these roles and they sometimes don't really recognize the weight that they have to fans. But, you know, like even speaking personally for myself, like I grew up on Michael Myers, you know, Jason and all them. Like you're in charge of a character, you know. Yeah, it's Rob's vision and there's writing and all these things that go into production, but you're on screen. That's you, you know, and you have to put that work in to make this movie and this character and play your part in it. And it's such a big deal, you know, like if you don't put the energy into it that it deserves, that comes through on screen. You know, all these things that go into making something great and living up to that role of Michael Myers. It's such a demanding role as a killer in a movie. Like, that's not being an actor and not knowing shit about shit like I do. Like, it looks like one of the hardest things you could do. You know, it's a lot of work in there. But yeah, you killed it, dude. No pun intended.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it meant a lot to me for him to do that and hand me that knife. And yeah. The main thing, it meant that we were done. You know, when you, like you say, killing people's hard work. Yeah. You know, you got to do it from different angles and stuff like that. And it's an intense thing. Like one of my favorite kills is the nurse kill in Halloween 2. And it's so brutal. Me stabbing her like 30 times or however many times it is. And I was just exhausted at the end of that. And then Rob just yells, "One more." And that's where that big came in, and, you know, and that just sticks with you. And so, yeah, I mean, it was a very exhausting physical role to pull off. Yeah.
And it looks like, you know, like, especially, you know, you could look at earlier Myers films where it's not as brutal as that. Like, I mean, it looked real. You know, it made you uncomfortable because of how brutal it was. You know, like all those things, that takes exerted effort times whatever it normally takes for, like, you know, a lower, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a lower level of brutality. You know, like you put, like it looked like you were tired when you were done.
Yeah, you know, because I mean, you're filming it from so many different angles. You're like, it's like, okay, you got the wide, and you're like, oh, we're done. No, moving in for close-ups, and then a different angle, and you're doing that all day, and it's exhausting. At the end of the day, man, that was back when I was smoking cigars and having some wine, and the end of the day, it'd be a cigar and some wine just to relax and unwind for the next day type of thing. So,
right.
Yeah, it takes a lot out of you, you know?
Yeah. We do on this show, we have an event every year. It's called Murder Madness. And obviously it's around March, and we get the full bracket of whether it be killers, movies. We've done different variations of it. And something that comes up every single year when we do this is, and it's randomized, so we have no control over who goes against who or anything like that, or it probably would have been done already. But every single year we do this, the conversation comes up of, what if the original Michael Myers went up against Rob Zombie's Michael? Trying to be as unbiased as you could be, how do you think that matchup would go? Cage match, fight to the death. Who comes out?
I'd say to take about 2 seconds, and I'd be walking out of there.
Holy shit! 2 seconds. Wow. Okay.
Impressive.
I'll give him 3.
Damn. All right. Okay. I love the answer.
I'm just saying, I got a trained background, and so mine is a little bit viciousser.
And 100%. I mean, again, things that cannot be denied. Like that. Going from what we've seen those variations of the characters do, you didn't fuck around.
Nope, not at all.
The last Myers question I had for you, and I don't know how much of a gamer you are, Tyler. Are you aware of the game Dead by Daylight?
Yeah, I have heard about it, and some people play with Michael Myers in there.
They do, and
yeah.
The game is known for its licenses, bringing different characters in from all these great movies, and Michael Myers has been in there a long time. Like, it was their first licensed character back, Cass, you could probably correct me, 2018, I believe, that he came into the game.
Yeah, around then.
Yeah, and, nothing's really changed. He's been what he's been. In-game stuff has changed, but his look, his appearance, his cosmetics have been what they've been since then. And a lot of people are dying for something new for him. Different cosmetics, different looks, and Rob Zombie's Halloween comes up constantly.
Yeah.
Is that something that you've been approached about, you would be interested in doing? What do you think about a Rob Zombie, Michael Myers chapter in Dead by Daylight?
I think that'd be awesome. He'd definitely be the most intense and aggressive.
Yeah.
And maybe they need that, But now I'm gonna have to go check it out. I'm generally a Call of Duty guy, but
oh boy,
I'll have to check it out.
I get my ass whooped too much in shooters to be messing around on Call of Duty. That's not the place for me.
Well, I do too, and it sucks when it's a little kid,
Yeah.
You come across them like, I got you. Oh, shut up. Shut up. Do you know who I am, kid?
Right. I will kill you in front of a camera, okay? You shut your mouth.
I know where you live.
And Cass and a bunch of our other friends make me get on Fortnite constantly.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm like, I just got my ass whooped by a 9-year-old. Like, what am I doing?
Right?
But yeah, no, if you ever get the time, check out Dead by Daylight. They got everybody in there damn near, as far as, these characters from these movies. And the Michael Myers character is getting a little stale on there, and
yeah,
like I said, constantly, because we're partnered with Behavior and all that stuff. So we see a lot of what the players want on there constantly. A Rob Zombie, Michael Myers comes up, and yeah, it's an opportunity to bring in an iconic character, a different look for him. And you could and it would be a whole different character. Like, if you stay true to what it is, you can have an additional, you don't even need to change the one that's in there. You can have a whole new Myers just out of the box with more brutal, a better Maury, which is their end kill, all those things that you could bring to the table or something.
You would have a badass Michael Myers.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the last questions I had for you, Tyler, was, because I feel like this gets overlooked a lot, and I don't know why. You played Sabretooth in Deadpool vs. Wolverine, which was, honestly, I was going to say one of the biggest movies ever. If you're looking at performance and all those things. And it was nearly a quarter century since you played this character back in X-Men in 2000. What was it like? I mean, you voiced the video game, but I'm talking on screen.
Yeah.
What was it like getting back into that role?
Oh my God, that was so amazing.
And being in that movie, like I said, it was huge. What a comeback for that character.
Yeah, just getting that call. Sean called talked to my manager, and my manager was like, "Hey, Sean wants to talk to you," and I was like, "Okay." And it took a few days. It was over the weekend, and I'm sitting there thinking, "Oh God, what is this going to be about?" I hope, And Sean and I did a Zoom, and he goes, "Hey, you know why I'm calling you?" I go, "I bloody well hope so," And he goes, how do you feel about being Sabretooth again? I said, oh, God damn, yeah, let's do it. He goes, okay, that was quick. So, yeah, and it was, I wanted to see that character. He goes, it's not going to be much. It's kind of a comedy bit. And I was like, I don't care,
Yeah.
And just being able to put that character back on screen was fantastic for me. I'm fingers crossed. I'm putting it out there, the energy out there. I hope I get to play him again and go a little in depth with this character because, he is a badass, and I would love to take Victor Creed where he needs to go.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question for you, was because I'm not a superhero guy personally. I'm aware of the big ones, but Sabretooth, and seeing that character, I was like, holy shit, like, why is there not more of this guy? Is that something you're hoping can take off into its own thing? Because talk about meat on the bone, for a character in the story.
Yeah, I would love to. That's the whole thing, playing in somebody else's sandbox.
Right.
I have no control over that. I'm just excited and that they actually called me back. And there's a funny story about how I actually made it in that movie. After the first one, I was at a convention and I met these young kids, and one, Zeb Wells, was very excited to meet me, talk to me, and I talked to him, just like a normal human being, and we got to know each other, and then I was coming down from the hotel to the premiere of Deadpool and Wolverine. The doors open, and this guy comes running over to me, and he goes, "Hey, you probably don't remember me." I go, "No, who are you?" And he goes, "I'm Zeb Wells. I'm the writer on this, and I'm why you're in this movie." And it all goes back to me just being nice to him at this convention and saying, "Yeah, man, just do it. Follow your dreams. You can do it if you want to do it." And he ended up being a writer on Deadpool and Wolverine, and he wrote in my Sabretooth, and he said, "No, you need to get the real Sabretooth, Tyler Mane, to play him." And that's how I got back into the franchise.
And I have to say, your scene is probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. It's such a fun bit.
Yeah, there's that build up, and then it's just, oh.
Yeah.
But that's the comedy of it,
Yeah.
And like, people have been waiting 20 years for this. It's gonna be awesome. And then it's done.
But that it goes to show, though, man, and you never know how small of an interaction can be on such a big impact on someone, and that's fucking awesome here.
Yeah. It's it's like, hey, I grew up. You respect everybody, treat everybody like you want to be treated, and
right.
Good things will come from it.
Absolutely.
You put out good energy, you get good energy back.
Yep, that is the truth. And okay, so you mentioned that you would love to play Sabretooth again. I mean, that's no doubt. That's no brainer. Like I said, so much meat on the bone. And this coming from a non-traditional superhero movie fan, that's something that'll get me in the theater to go see a character like that. So 100% that needs, in my opinion, that needs to happen. And obviously you're all in for that. But the final question I have for you, Tyler, is the lore goes on for this question forever. And, people could talk about what happened with the third Halloween film that everyone wanted. But in a perfect world, would you like to play? Do you have any interest in playing Michael Myers again if a third Rob Zombie film for Halloween were to be made?
Well, yeah, you just answered the question. When you say if a third Rob Zombie film, yes, definitely. And see, the thing is like Scout and I were both signed for 3, and we were getting ready to do a third one, but Rob wasn't involved. So we were both like, I don't know where this where this is going to go, what's going to happen. But if Rob is involved, most definitely, I would love to revisit him. I don't know what I would do in it. I'd have to probably rip somebody's head off, because I always like to, do something more than I did in the last one, because
Right.
there's nothing worse than having, 10 films doing the same thing with the same character every time. It's, so, but yeah, if Rob signed on, which I don't think is ever going to happen, but yes, I would love to.
So that's the Achilles heel of it all. It has to be a Rob Zombie-led production. Okay, I mean, that's fair.
Well, I mean, like, I'd be interested to talk to somebody, but I just don't think, if you think about it, anytime you bring in a new director or something else, they're going to want to put their own spin on it, and they don't want people going, oh, that's just Rob Zombie's guy doing it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
at least that's the way I look at it. Yeah, I mean, if a director came in and wanted to talk to me and they were going to, treat it right, I'd definitely be interested in talking to him.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. That's a great answer.
But if Rob came in, I'd go, hell yeah.
Nice. And you never know. Like, there's a lot that's said about what happened, with all that, and time heals all wounds, and who knows, there's a lot of stuff coming back. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, like, and I can tell you that on the second one, if they would have just let Rob do his script, the script was amazing, but the Weinsteins kept screwing with it and, wanted to do changes. And yet there were many a time when Rob would come into my trailer and we'd just sit there and talk, and he goes, oh God, it was a tough battle for him.
Do you remember anything that big, monumental, that you think changed the whole landscape of the film that you guys didn't get to do?
Well, there was quite a bit. Like, they took $5 million of the budget and said
that's a big deal.
Had to make commercials for it and stuff like that, and this off the wall stuff like that. I mean, that's why you got the glass coffin, the pumpkin wearing scenes and stuff like that. And he's like, well, if I got to spend this money doing stuff like this, I've got to figure out how to put it into the movie, because I need to put that into the movie instead of just in, So yeah, and they kept cutting days, and it was interesting, to say the least.
Well, there's definitely a base for it. Like, these are iconic films, and it would be cool, and it would shake shit up.
Yeah, and the thing is, Rob's films stand the test of time, which is really cool, and I'm just glad to be a part of it. And same with the X-Men, same with all of them. Like I say, I've had a very lucky, wide-spanning career, being in the right place at the right time to play a lot of really cool characters, and now moving on with my own stuff and doing the Last Spartan Red Tape. I'm a very lucky guy.
Yes, your own sandbox is a beautiful thing. You decorate it how you want. Tyler, your time with us, man, we appreciate the hell out of it, dude. Like, you're an incredible. You have incredible causes and work that's coming out, and let everybody know where they can get in touch with you if you want people to leave you alone, all those things, and also all the places that they can go. Once again, it'll be in the description regardless, but let everybody know where all your stuff is, because it's very important.
Yeah, I am on Instagram, all of that, Facebook. It's The Real Tyler Main. That is me. Check for the blue check mark. But for the Last Spartan Red Tape, you can go to lastspartan.com. You can go to tylermain.com. You can go to Main Entertainment, MANE entertainment.com, and find all about it. So yeah, I would greatly appreciate it, and hope to see you all down the road.
Absolutely. We will definitely be in touch. This has been a blast, dude. We appreciate you so much, Tyler. Thank you.
Well, thank you for
so
having
much.
me. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Take care, guys. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay safe, everybody.
Yes.